Alright, I'm gonna wing this video about why I don't like Spotify, because if I keep overthinking it, it's just never gonna get made. I realized I haven't really made a specific video on this, and a friend asked why I hate Spotify. So, we will get into that. I prefer Bandcamp as like my top tier, this is the thing that I'm gonna use, and then YouTube comes after, and then it's not just Spotify, but like all the other streaming services. Pretty much I'm like, no, I'm not putting my music there, I'm not listening to them. So, if you are a band and you want me to listen to your stuff, put it on Bandcamp, otherwise you're dead to me. Or at least have something on YouTube. Otherwise you're dead to me. There's something floating around. Sorry, I am easily distracted. This could be a real train wreck, but that's very on brand for my channel, isn't it? At least you know I'm not AI. I know a lot of people hate Spotify now because of AI, and because Spotify keeps doing things like, I think now you have to get a certain number of listens or they won't pay you anything, and then there's something about like verification. I don't know, I'm only picking this up from things that I happen to watch on YouTube. I haven't actually looked at it myself. I have not done research, this is just my opinion, take everything with a grain of salt. But yeah, no, actually, I have hated Spotify like since the beginning, pretty much. Originally, as an artist myself, the idea of putting my stuff on Spotify, like I hadn't ever really listened to it because I'm old. I'm older than a lot of people seem to think I am. Which I'm like, surely, I don't know. I feel like I've aged, but I mean, my body definitely feels like it's aged, but people still keep thinking I'm younger than I am, and I will never quite understand that. But anyway, not the point. So yeah, no, I'm older than I look. I like my CDs. I like my physical media. I'm still, you know, got me Dexter and got a proper Blu-ray player. I'm a bit old-fashioned, which is hilarious because in high school, particularly, like I had this reputation for being super tech just because I was good at the computers, but everyone else got more tech than me sooner. Like everyone had iPods, and you know, even my parents got smartphones before I did, and they use more apps than I do. I'm kind of old-fashioned. So yeah, I was still listening to things on CDs, which I would rip onto my computer, listen on Windows Media Player. I still use Windows Media Player to this day for most of my listening. And then I would only buy music that I could afford, which is not very much. And like, just, I don't even know how to find music, so I would kind of just find something in the store and buy it because it sounded interesting or had an interesting cover. Not the best strategy, but hey, you find some things you might otherwise not even know about that way, but a bit harder to do now that they only have the popular stuff. Yeah, and then sometimes someone would recommend me something, or maybe I would stumble onto it on YouTube, because, you know, by the time I really got into music, things were coming online a bit more, but in high school, well, I just bought on the radio, or like, before Neon Genesis Evangelion on Cartoon Network, they used to play, Linkin Park, you know, Points of Authority, but the remix version with the music video, and so I only know from Hybrid Theory, I only know the Reanimation remixes. I don't actually know the original songs, and when the original songs play, I'm always super confused. So this is my listening habits, is I'm kind of like stuck in my ways, will listen to a whole album a lot. Generally with my Windows Media Player playlists, I will start culling the songs that I'm less into, and then it just becomes this playlist of old stuff that I'm just very into, and I rarely add new music to my playlist. These days, if I do, it tends to be local bands, because that's what I'm exposed to. And yeah, so then it's even more important for them to be on Bandcamp, because hardly anyone makes CDs for me anymore. And this computer doesn't have a built-in CD drive. Thanks a lot, Dell. Thanks a lot for breaking my old computer, which is another story I still haven't got to. Yeah, so old-fashioned listening habits. And it just never occurred to me to do the Spotify thing. I also didn't do like Napster or download heaps of old songs, because like when I was growing up, it was really hard to download songs, and like in Australia, shit internet, computer used to be upstairs, And like, you know, so you couldn't just sit there downloading every day, and we had limits. And then when I finally got a computer in my room, which is probably a mistake, but I enjoyed it. No, I had other preoccupations and trying to find music. I actually thought I hated music for a long time because so much of it was just garbage on the radio and love songs. And I was like, is music just love songs? Why are we here? But then I'd every now and then find something good. And so that's why I bought the things that I did. Linkin Park, Evanescence, the first album. My brother had some interesting music, so I listened to that because I didn't know what else to listen to. He was more clued in than me. Okay, so old-fashioned habits. Didn't listen to Spotify when it came out. No interest in it. Because I had my own collection. So that's kind of an accidental thing. And then, you know, as I got into music, discovered more things I liked, the metal, the heavy stuff, industrial. I think 9 Inch Nails is the one that really got me into music and also made me think it was possible for me to be a musician, because like one-man band, and I'm like, I don't like people, I don't know anyone, oh wow, I could do it all myself. And so yeah, that's kind of the thing that set it off for me. Started trying to learn things, took a while to figure out where to even learn stuff, whatever. I did warn you this was going to be rambly. And then, yeah, so when I started getting into the music, and then, you know, how do you release songs? I guess probably around the time of Rainbow Death Rays when I would have been looking into this. Like Winter Gaunt, which was my first real band, we only did like, I don't think we did that many gigs. I mean, we were probably gigging for only about 6 months before the drummer left and the whole thing collapsed. So, yeah. Am I sweating? I'm sorry. Which armpit is that? I didn't mean to draw attention to it either, but oh well, you'll just have to deal with that now. This is what happens when you don't script videos and don't do any AI bullshit, is it's just unhinged in a natural way, but yeah. Focus brain, we're trying to get this video done and trying not to make it too dodgy. It's already been 7 minutes, shit. Okay, yeah, so Winter Gaunt, you know, we just put our stuff on, what was the thing at the time? I think MySpace was still around, and then our stuff's still on Reverb Nation. If you want to hear my really, 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 really old vocals, Reverb Nation, Winter Gaunt. And like, I forgot that I could do some of those vocals for a long time. Learning about vocals kind of screwed me up in some ways. Like, I got better, but it also screwed me up in terms of like the more natural stuff that I was doing, and then I felt like it was wrong. And anyway, so that's why we put stuff there, and we didn't really talk about doing a proper release. I mean, it was still kind of the songs that they'd done with their old singer. Just I had to rewrite a whole bunch of stuff and then reinterpret stuff, and yeah, that's about all we really did. We kind of just did 6 months of stuff and then it fell apart. Then with Rainbow Death Ray, that actually got some legs, which was unexpected. I didn't go into that thinking that it was gonna go anywhere at all, and we actually ended up with fans, and I was like, holy shit. It was kind of just because I got tired of, you know, dudes stuffing me around, either rejecting me for being female or pretending to be interested in me as a musician and then trying to take me out on a date or whatever bullshit. And I'm just like, you know what, I know a lot of female musicians who might as well make a band. That got going, and then we started talking about making our EP, and, you know, we crowdfunded, blah, 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 but then where are we going to put this stuff? We put it on CD. I still have CDs available. If you see me at, like, if I have gigs, I bring stacks of CDs and try and give them away now with, like, you know, even though it's not my solo project, I still have these things. So if you want a CD, I'm not going to post it because the postage system is frustrating and I can't keep up. But and I don't know if you can still buy our stuff on Bandcamp anyway. I better check and see whether or not I deleted those options, because I just don't want to deal with the postage system. I am not a good business person. I am so... Get back on topic. Yeah, we put it on CDs, because I like CDs, and this is a little bit before, this is what, 2015? So, like, people were still into it then, and then we put it on Bandcamp, and you can still download it for free. I think it might ask you for your email. Just put it in, because I'm not going to use it for anything. Like, the band's dead. I just never got around to changing that. Or if you pay like $1, you don't have to put your email in, but then you need one for your account. But we don't get your email, I think. I don't even know how... Irrelevant, move on. Bandcamp, yeah. I don't remember if we talked about Spotify, but by then I think I was aware of it and like would have done the research and looked into it. And what I really, it's taken 10 minutes to get to the point, what I really didn't like, what I really didn't like is that I had to pay them to put my stuff up there when I've got all these free options. Like, you know, I used to upload shitty music to my music channel on YouTube, which still exists, I just don't touch it anymore. And I need to see if I can still log in as well. But yeah, that was back when, like, that's the only time I tried to have extra channels, and I just can't do it. That's why this channel is so chaotic, because I'm like, you know what, just one. I can't do all these extra channels. Anyway, yeah, no, I can upload stuff to that for free. I should upload more of my stuff to this channel for free. I just, you know, didn't really think about that. I just put everything on Bandcamp and figured, you know, I'm not mainstream. If people who like my stuff will find my stuff where I am. Yeah, no, and Bandcamp's free. And, you know, like, so the whole Spotify thing is like, and, you know, the distributors, they're like, oh, you can get paid for your music, but you have to pay them first. And I'm not delusional enough to think that enough people are going to listen to my stuff to make back the money that you have to pay these things. And they have all these different models. Like, some is like you pay once and your stuff stays there, but it tends to be a higher fee and maybe they take a cut of whatever you get back. And then there's the ones that you have to basically have a subscription and pay constantly to keep it online, and that's no good because I'm definitely not going to make my money back that way. And so I'm just looking at that model going like, I don't think it's financially worth it. My parents are finance types, that's how I think sometimes. I didn't really think about the exposure at the time. It was just like, this is a bad deal. This is a bad deal. Why would I do it? And, you know, as someone who didn't listen to Spotify, of course I didn't see any value in it. So, like, that's the first thing that really put me off. You know, like, you have to pay. I understand, like, in the 70s, the value of a distributor, like, pre-internet days, having a distributor, it's the only way to get your music out. You know, get it on CDs, get it into shops, whatever, you know, and I guess a lot of that's controlled by labels back then and whatever. I don't know exactly how it worked, but I can understand why you needed a distributor. But these days, you can upload things directly yourself. And, like, the problem with distributors for me is, like, you pay them and they just send your stuff on to these platforms. But, like, what work are they actually doing? Because in theory, you could automate it. Are they actually listening to the music that goes up there? I don't know. And these days it sure doesn't seem like it, because they're getting AI submissions like crazy, as if they're going to be able to screen everything. Like, do they really care? I don't know. So I was just like, you know, why should I pay these people to just sort of tick a few boxes to make sure I'm not uploading absolute garbage? Although, you know, there was that person who did, like, you know, 1-second tracks of silence and managed to get quite a lot of streaming money until someone, you know, they finally figured that out. So, you know, were they even screening it back then? They just said they did. I don't know if we believe them. So you pay them, you don't really know what service they're offering. It goes on the internet, it goes onto these platforms, and then, like, if there's some kind of problem, you can't fix it yourself. You have to go through these third parties. And I don't know if this is part of my mental illness, wanting to be able to control everything, wanting to be able to control my creativity and stuff, but I'm just like, no, I need to be able to manage my own stuff. Like Bandcamp, manage everything. I don't have to submit it to anyone to release it on a particular day. You know, I don't have to do it however long in advance. They recommend you do, but you don't have to. You can upload it and publish it tomorrow. Same thing with YouTube. I can upload whatever I want. You know, as long as it's not illegal or, like, against terms or whatever, but I don't do that stuff. So, yeah, and then if, like, I've made a mistake, in the title or something, very easy to change it. I don't have to go through some third-party idiot through some kind of support system or whatever. I've got it done. And I guess I've had a lot of problems with incompetence in my life. I mean, also, like, I was an academic high achiever, and so I was kind of used to just doing stuff myself and not relying on the team. And, you know, when you have teamwork in school, yeah, there's always people letting you down, and I was one of the ones who was a bit more, you know, felt more duty-bound to actually get done the things that I was told to get done, so I was exploited kind of easily, and I still am exploited to this day. I try and watch out for it, but I can't help my nature sometimes, but don't exploit me. Yeah, I don't know, I just don't have a high level of trust for other people's competence. Having worked with people who suck and having dealt with, you know, different systems that suck, and yeah, so to be able to trust a third party to do right by me, no. So, like, that was sort of the original reason that I was like, I'm not gonna do any of this streaming stuff. Now, after Rainbow Death Ray, it's funny how this happened after the band. Like, during the band, I used to do a lot of, like, you know, poster runs, 25,000 steps in a day, hitting all the main poster poles in the Sydney CBD and around there, because they have, like, designated poles. I don't know if it's still the case because I don't go out anymore, but at the time there were designated poles where you knew if you put it up on a certain day, you knew it was going to be there for the rest of the week. Whereas, like, your regular electrical poles, it depends. Some councils hate it, some are fine with it. And it depends on who owns what pole. It's too complicated. Just hit the big main post ones is what I used to do. And, like, same thing there. I didn't pay a third party to do it. I just did it myself because I have low levels of trust in other people. And sure, I can give them my money, but are they doing what I want them to do? I don't know. Yeah. So, why did I bring that up? Oh, because, like, yeah, with Rainbow Death Ray, so, like, I used to do a lot of that, you know, do-it-yourself promotion. I would post across Facebook a lot and, like, wherever I could find space to promote our shows. And later, after Rainbow Death Ray, is when I finally stumbled onto, like, how music marketing is actually done. Which I had tried to look it up before, and somehow none of this stuff came up. And some of it did exist before. I don't know. Somehow I'm always out of the loop, and no one tells me, hey, there's actually a better way. But through the course of those marketing things, like, that's when I came across, like, oh, you can use Spotify for marketing. You know, whereas before it was like, make money from your music. And I'm like, there's no way that's going to happen with my music. But the marketing thing, I can understand a bit more, that putting it in front of more ear holes, not eyeballs, ear holes. You can see the shadow of a floof. Yeah, and I started thinking, oh, I guess, maybe. But, you know, then I didn't have anything to promote. So, like, I sat on those marketing tips for ages, and a lot of the marketing stuff, though, it's soul draining. I'm not, you know, like, it was bad enough what I was doing with Rainbow Death Ray, but at least some of the stuff was kind of fun. But proper marketing stuff, I'm just like, oh. Can't someone else? I gotta find, like, you know, someone to work with who can handle this stuff, because I just want to do the things that I want to do. I don't want to play these dumb social media games the way that I'm being told to. I don't want to be on TikTok or, you know, all these other things where they're like, oh, you should go on here, you'll go viral, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yeah, so there's a lot of hype about Spotify and those streaming services, and like, get yourself on a playlist, apply to this, apply to that, whatever. So like, I kind of looked into it again, but I sort of sit on the fence a bit. I was like, yeah, I still don't think it's good value, because yeah, like, then I pay the money, get my stuff on there, and then I have to gamble that someone's going to put me on one of these playlists to be seen. Like, it's not guaranteed reach. So I remain skeptical. I tried to open my mind a bit, but he's so cute. I remain skeptical. I'm gonna get even more distracted now. Oh no, he's doing the thing. Hey, it's a bit too early, buddy. It's a bit too early. You've had so much food today. I brushed him today. Today being the 10th of June, this video will probably have to wait until tomorrow. Yeah, okay, but so now I have my solo project, and I'm still not on Spotify, despite knowing that there's supposedly marketing value. Now my music is even weirder than it was with Rainbow Death Ray, so probably even less broadly appealing, never mind the market conditions now with AI garbage. And you know, all the ethics things people are worried about with Spotify, and you know, Spotify now having this threshold that you have to meet before you get paid, which, like, YouTube has a threshold before you get paid, but YouTube doesn't make you pay money to be on there. You have to pay money just to get on Spotify. You shouldn't have to then satisfy other requirements before you get paid. Like, no, fuck off with that. But, no, I think, like, one of the deal killers for me is I did listen to Spotify a bit. I think it might have been, was that during the pandemic? I mean, you know, there was a point where I stopped working the first time, because I got really badly depressed. So 2016, I think, is when I first stopped working. That's the first time I had ever stopped working since I first started, you know, whatever, but I was just so mentally ill and, like, you know, depressed and on medication that was making it so hard to concentrate, and the constant side effects. I couldn't. But at some point, I started doing some extra work for Dad, which was like a work from home thing. And I think initially I had to go upstairs on his computer to be able to access all this stuff. It was a while before I had it set up on my own computer. And while I was up there and doing this very boring finance-related stuff, yeah, I chucked on Spotify because I didn't have my collection, because my collection's on my computer and there's no CD player up there. So what am I going to listen to? I listen to Spotify. I don't know that was on my phone, or if I had headphones, or exactly how I was listening to it. But, you know, like, I gave it a good go, and I did come across some interesting stuff occasionally. The trouble is, like, it's very different to my regular listening, like my normal way of listening to things. I like to, like, actually get to know the songs, and so, like, I'll go through a CD, like, I would get a new CD, chuck it in, listen to every single song, and then maybe I'll listen to the whole CD a few more times after that and start to get a vibe for which ones are my favorite songs, and, you know, which ones deserve to be on my main playlist in Windows Media Player and all that, and then I'll, like, really get to know the songs, and I know what's coming up next. It's not like this random free-for-all that Spotify is. And what I found when listening to that random free-for-all that Spotify feeds you, you know, like, if you can get, like, a what's new playlist or a heavy metal playlist, or I don't even remember how it recommends things to you. It's been that long since I tried it. But yeah, what I really struggled with is it would throw things at me, and some of it sounds, you know, kind of interesting, and I think there's, like, maybe one song that I went and looked up later, but I think it had, like, I can't even remember what it was. It had the word 3 either in the title or in the artist name. I'm pretty sure there's a 3. That's literally all I can remember, and some images from the music video, and I've forgotten what that was. And then all the other stuff that I listened to, I've forgotten what all they are as well. I think maybe at some point I might have written down some of the band names and tried to check them out later, but it was a listening experience that didn't really help me learn any music. Like, it was just a stream of stuff, and after a while it all kind of, like, morphs together, and my brain just can't latch onto any specific thing. It's just background noise, and I wasn't really enjoying it. you know, I like to get to know the songs. I'm a singer, I like to sing along. I sing along to the instrumentals as well because I'm a fucking nutcase. You know, when I'm on stage, I have to make sure I don't do that. Or if I do that, that I'm not singing it into the microphone and it just looks like I'm having fun instead of like singing it compulsively. But yeah, no, like just listening to a bunch of random stuff, random new stuff that I don't know and can't sing along to, and don't have any connection to. Like, a lot of the time you can't quite catch the lyrics on a first listen, so I don't even know what the song's about. There's no meaning to it for me. I kind of need that in my listening experience. Like, otherwise it's just noise. There might be like the occasional like headbanging part, but without meaning, I don't know, it just kind of like, so many songs have good headbanging parts. Why should I focus on this song in particular? So yeah, I wasn't really discovering new music because I would discover it and then completely forget about it and not go back to it. So I don't like that experience. But then at some point, I think I did come back to my computer and to my computer speakers, which I'm really familiar with these days, and you know, would try playing songs that I already know, because like I've made playlists of like, the main playlist I made was the kinds of guitars I would like in a band that I would join, because, you know, I've looked for a new band for a while. I have some difficult requirements. I didn't realize they were difficult, but apparently they are. I mean, obviously they need to like me as a vocalist, because otherwise I'm not in the band, but I also need them to, you know, have music that I like and be competent, and it's like impossible to find all three. But also people would like, there are people who like my vocals, or some of my vocals, but have music that I'm not into, you know, like whether it's people who ask me to just sing pop rock and they're like, oh, we don't want you to scream. And I'm like, I didn't spend all this time learning to scream just to not do it. But then there's the opposite, where it's like some, you know, repetitive death metal. What was it? I won't name it. There was one audition I did where the music was so boring. It was just screams. It wasn't even like varied screams. It was just mid screams the whole time. And the rhythms were so unchallenging that I didn't need to practice the songs before the audition. I just made a couple of notes on how long to wait between each section and then could just do it because it was just so basic. And I can't just do all screams and all boring basic screams. I need the variety. And then the guitar work, you know, in some bands, I'm just like, this is the most boring guitar work I have ever heard. I can't feel the music. I can't get into it. So I made this playlist on Spotify. It's still there somewhere. And it's like the kinds of guitars that I like in music that I would like to be in a band with. While I was putting that together though, like it's all songs that I know quite well. I probably have them all in my Windows Media Player, probably have them all on CDs, unless it's something that I had to buy on Bandcamp because there's no CDs or I didn't have access to the CDs. And because I know what those songs are meant to sound like Windows Media Player, Windows Media Player probably does change it from the CD, but it's not as bad as what Spotify does to the sound, and just like I would hear the difference between the Spotify version and my Windows Media Audio version, because like I will listen to the CDs in other contexts and I don't hear as big a difference between the CD and the Windows Media Player version. But the Spotify versions, there was always something off about them and like the quality. And I've never considered myself a huge audiophile, like just getting a sub to go with my computer speakers. Well, this one actually came with it, but like finally getting speaker set with a sub, that was like the hugest change for me. And then after that, like I don't have that engineer's ear. That's one of the reasons that I sort of tapped out of audio engineering, which I studied for a bit. Because like I don't care that much. You know, I saw how the boys would like obsess over these tiny things and they'd hear all these particular things and decide they were good or bad. And I just don't have that ear. I don't have that obsessiveness for the topic. I don't care. Like, you know, they're drooling over gear. I tried so hard to understand why I should drool over gear. And I think I even posted about it, like, you know, look at this thing. I was working on a Neve console, you know, replacing something in it, you know, soldering, and trying to get interested in it, but like ultimately I don't care. It's just gear, and we're all working in the box now anyway, pretty much. Except those big studio dudes, and they know what they're doing. I can't even be bothered to mix my own stuff properly. Yeah, anyway, but like, you know, so point being, I'm not obsessive about the sounds of stuff, but Spotify just sounded awful, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm going back to my Windows Media Player and my CDs, and Bandcamp is quite high quality. Yeah. So I didn't like the quality of Spotify. And then when you think about it as an artist, I'm sending my stuff to this platform that's just gonna butcher the whatever I have thought I was uploading. I'm like, no. Can't do it. So, oh my god, it's taken me half an hour to really get all my thoughts out. I think those are my main thoughts, is it's not good financial value. It never has been, and it's unnecessary. I shouldn't need to pay someone. Like, I think there was a point where Spotify was like, oh, we're thinking of allowing you to upload directly. And so I was watching that quite keenly. And then they never did it. They decided, nah. They just, I don't know, did they buy DistroKid and then decide, you know what, this is a good business model, rather than letting people circumvent the third party? Why don't we just become the third party, so then we have to get paid for that, and then get paid also by the people listening to the streams and the ads and paying Spotify? I'm just like, oh my god. So, you know, they never allowed me to bypass the bullshit. They just have all these arbitrary barriers. And, like, you know, I suppose maybe the one thing that I can see useful about a distributor is it sends it to all the platforms at once, so you don't have to upload it to every single thing individually. And, like, you know, when you're on Instagram and trying to post a story with a song to it, it has to have gone through those channels. So you can't find my stuff when you're trying to post an Instagram thing. I think when Femme Metal promoted me, they had to find a collaboration I'd done, which was not really representative of my music, but it's the best they had at the time. Yeah, so that's like one of the downsides of the way that I'm doing it, but for me, that small chance that someone's going to want to use my music in a story, it's not really worth it for me to upload to Spotify, to, like, you know, to the distributors to send it out there. That's probably the only thing I can think of that might be useful about these distributors. Otherwise, I should be able to upload my stuff directly. And I think if I upload my music directly to YouTube, I think maybe through the Shorts system, there's a way to, like, sample my videos, you know, the music in the video to, like, lay over, and then it still links back to me, kind of thing. I haven't really explored it very much, but yeah, I don't know, like, I just think I should be allowed to, like, this is the 2020s, and you still want me to use a distributor? Like, how stupid is your technology? That's so unnecessary. It's so anachronistic. It's so old-fashioned, and just doing things the way that it was done back when for no reason, or because the labels want you to, or because you've decided you can make more money from us that way. I'm just like, no, I'm not on board with that. It's 2020s. Let me upload stuff directly to your platform. Yeah, and then, yeah, so there's that, there's the finances, there's that whole, like, logistical bullshit that shouldn't be there. And then, the listening experience in terms of, like, being able to absorb the ridiculous mass of stuff. No, I need to just focus on, like, a small number of songs at a time. So it's rare that I add new music to my collection. Like, I might listen to a few things on Bandcamp, but if they don't stand out to me, they don't get added to my collection, and so I don't learn the songs, and they disappear the same way the Spotify ones do. But I find it easier, like, you know, if I find something on Bandcamp that I like, I'm already on the platform where I'm going to buy it. Whereas on Spotify, like, I can't buy it. I suppose I could add it to a playlist, but it's just, it's not quite the same. Like, I want to be able to own the music and play it on my preferred player, not be stuck on the Spotify player like Bandcamp. I buy it there, I can play it on Bandcamp, but I can also play it on my preferred player. Yeah, and I don't know, like, I guess people find Spotify convenient if they've got the app on their phone and whatever, but I don't tend to listen to music out and about, actually. I mostly listen to music on decent speakers, without noise around me, without earbuds, because I spent too long reading Animorphs and getting paranoid about things in my ears. It took me a long time to be able to put earplugs in there without feeling weird. But protect your hearing when you're at a gig, otherwise none of this means anything because your hearing will be dead. And don't ruin your ears with earbuds blasting things in there either. And clean your ears the right, like, you know, gently. Don't burst your eardrum. Anyway, just try and get back on topic. So the listening experience is not for me. And then, like, the quality of it, I get that they're trying to save bandwidth, and that was more valid 10 years ago. Nowadays, what? We're wasting all the bandwidth on garbage that we call AI. And then, yeah, Spotify just keeps getting worse now. You know, like, I had all these reasons before AI was a thing, and before I knew anything about whatever who's that Ek guy? Who's apparently, like, horrible and has been cancelled by certain groups, and I don't know. I don't really keep up with that stuff. I've just always thought it was a shit model. In the same way that I've always hated Harry Potter, and now it's interesting that people have finally come around. I just need them to realize that Animorphs was always the better series. I don't know, I don't like Spotify, I don't like that whole model. And so, you know, if you want to listen to something, I personally recommend Bandcamp. And Bandcamp now has a way that you can do playlists if that's what you want. And they do have discovery modes now that they're sort of opening up a bit. And Bandcamp just straight up said, no, we don't want AI. So good on them. They're still... There is a little bit of a, like, you know, they keep getting bought by different parties and you're like, oh, I hope this new one keeps things the way they are. But so far they have. I think they've realized, like, there's demand for the good guys. And so, like, I don't know if the company behind them are good guys, but as long as they run Bandcamp as the good guys, I'll be on board. If that model doesn't suit you and you want more of the Spotify-ish system, I would go to YouTube. YouTube is the backup. Like, if I can't find a band on Bandcamp, I'll see if they have something on YouTube. And most of them do, because those third-party distributors do push stuff out to YouTube, and it becomes weird topics, and sometimes they link back to the channel, but sometimes they're just their own thing, but they're there at least, and I can listen to them without having to go on Spotify. And so it's annoying when bands only share their Spotify or whatever links on their profiles. Like, at least have Bandcamp or YouTube for me to... Because sometimes if I really want to know what a band is like, I will Google their profiles and Google on YouTube, or, like, you know, look them up on YouTube or whatever, and try and find them. But sometimes it's just not worth the effort. So save me the effort. Save people who are like me the effort. Put your Bandcamp and your YouTube profiles somewhere I can easily find them when I'm on your page or whatever. If you just have Spotify, you're dead to me. Shit, this has been a really long rant, and it's because I can't get to the goddamn point. But yeah, so I think my reasons for hating Spotify are a bit unusual, because these days all I hear is the stuff about AI and the weird things that they're doing to pretend to address it. Yeah, I don't know, like, is it Top Music Lawyer or something? That's the main one that I get updates from these days. She keeps popping up and I'm like, oh, what's going on now? So I don't know how much is true and how much is... And also how much is just in America, because sometimes things are different in different countries, and I'm in Australia. But yeah, no, I don't like those. And I know there are other streaming services that are supposedly the good guys that pay artists more, even though it's still, you know, chicken feed. I have no interest in any of them. They're all the same. If they make me go through a third-party distributor, I don't care. I'm not interested in being on those platforms, and I'm not interested in listening either, to be honest. Yeah, when I know that there are more artist-friendly options and ones that I don't hate. Like, YouTube is a bit iffy sometimes, but at least they're better in letting me do what I want. Which is, like, you know, these other streaming services that insist on you going through a third-party distributor, they're not being friendly to me. So, fuck them. And, yeah, 40 minutes of me rambling about why I hate Spotify. I'm sorry. Like, well done getting to the end of the video if you made it this far. I hope you listened in double speed, because, wow! I think that's all I've got to say, and I hope that answers the question of why I don't like Spotify and what do I do instead. I mean, I still like my CDs. Yeah, it's just a shame that they've kind of died out a bit. Or mostly died out, and I know they're expensive to get made. Like, the reason Rainbow Death Ray has so many still is it cost the same to get 500 or 200, and 500 was the more reliable process, so why wouldn't we? So, you know, the value is there. Just get the 500, so that's what we did. Yeah, and now I can't get rid of them. So, and you can listen to it for free online anyway. At least people now know about QR codes, because even with, like, you know, 10 years ago, I was putting QR codes on the back of our business card, and I think no one really knew what to do with them. But post-COVID, at least people know what a QR code is now. That's a whole other thing. I'm gonna shut up. I'm trying not to have migraines. I did see the physio, and him poking around seemed to help, and he showed me how to poke around a few things myself. I'm just, you know, there are some weird pains. And I'm just, I won't be confident until I've had like a week without migraines. And then I'm seeing him again in 2 weeks. We were going like once a month, but now it's like, no, I've had an incident of like a week of migraines. And so, yeah, I don't know, maybe it was my neck all along. Maybe I just let my neck go somehow. Or maybe the original trigger was, you know, things in the air. And then when I got rid of them, it just took a while to get out of my system. I don't know. It's so hard to figure out those things. But anyway, so fuck Spotify and streaming services and third-party distributors. I don't like that system. And it's like, why should I participate in a system that I don't like? And okay, one more small rant. I don't want to throw shade on other artists too much, because, like, this is what the system tells you to do. You know, they want you to participate in these shit systems. But, you know, a lot of artists complain about how evil Spotify is and then put their stuff on Spotify anyway. And, like, what, are you just hoping that Spotify is going to improve by magic? I'm not heaps political, and I'm not heaps of an activist or anything, but I do have some apparently strong values, and I'm just like, why would I participate in that system that I really hate? Like, I have a choice here. This isn't like our society where I have to, like, you know, deal with the world as it is. Like, you know, money is a thing. I can't avoid that, so I must participate and have money somehow. My main solution to that is to just live with my parents forever. Because I apparently can't work a normal job anymore, and I also can't focus on YouTube in any coherent way to be able to make money from this. So yeah, this is the only way that I'm going to have a secure, stable way to exist in this world, because money is a thing and I can't really opt out, and I don't have the work ethic to go off grid. Like, you know, if I just ran off into the woods, I would promptly die. I also have, like, health problems, so, you know, the migraines, imagine I go out into the bush, have a migraine, get myself eaten by a dingo. Yeah. So, like, there are things in life that you can't avoid. But Spotify and that whole system, and, like, I'm not even boycotting it for political reasons. I just think the whole basis, the whole premise is fucked. Not what the companies are doing, the premise I don't like. You know, like, yeah, AI and exploitation of artists, like, that all sucks too, but, like, you know, the more obvious way that they're doing it now. But just the idea that I have to pay a third-party distributor was enough to put me off. And then finding out it's low quality anyway and the listening experience sucks. Yeah, those were the things. It was like, you know, the guy, the Spotify guy funding things that bomb people. I don't, like, you know, was it AI drones that people didn't like? Or, I haven't even followed that closely. It's not even retained in my brain properly for me to be outraged at it. I just dislike the premise. And so people who are more political, I know musicians who are way more political than me, and they still put their stuff on Spotify despite complaining about it. So I'm just like, okay, like, I get it, you want to have your music career. The other thing, though, is their music is more accessible than mine. Like, I don't have any delusions about my music. I'm a weirdo. My music is weird. I don't even have any guitars these days. Yeah, but it does weird me out a little bit when something is kind of easy to boycott and people don't. Because if you're a local artist, like, I know you have a dream that you'll be discovered on Spotify and get big and, you know, tour and whatever, you know, internationally and all that, but I don't know, are there not other ways? And most of you are gonna stay local artists anyway, so in the meantime, you're compromising your values for what gain, really? I don't know, I mean, promoters these days are also looking for that more now, which is another reason I struggle to get gigs, because I'm not playing the game properly, but, I don't know, the thing is, if everyone keeps participating in the system, you're not going to change it, are you? Someone has to have the guts to boycott. My contribution to that isn't going to do much because I'm one weirdo no one gives a shit about. But if more bands with more sway had the guts to do it, instead of just, you know, like, did Taylor Swift do it at one point, but then did she go back? I don't know, I haven't kept up with that, but I feel like that happened. You know, like, when the big artist makes a statement, but if they go back anyway, it's like they've been defeated or whatever. No, everyone needs to be more stubborn. If everyone did it, if everyone became a Clippy and joined the movement, maybe you'd actually make some progress. But they don't. They just complain about it and then do nothing. So why complain if you're not going to make any real, like, if you're not going to participate? I don't know. Like, this, one of the reasons I don't really get into politics so much is until it's time to vote, what can I do, really? I mean, people go and protest. Occasionally, maybe they'll sway something a little bit, but mostly protesters just piss people off, cause a lot of noise, and people don't care. I don't know. But that's getting into the strategy, and I think a lot of activists have bad strategy, you know. That's a whole other rant. I should stop. I did this video too. This is me trying to make a video on, like, a normal topic instead of my mental illness. And it's just like, it's actually longer than me talking about my mental illness. Oh, why am I like this? Well, I hope you enjoyed it anyway, because if you stayed this long, you probably stayed more for the entertainment than for the subject matter. Oh my god. Anyway, the dog's gonna really start judging me if I don't get him to bed, so I better go do that. Bye! Fuck Spotify. Bandcamp and YouTube, that's all you need, guys. And CDs, if anyone does them anymore. But you should, because let's not let the tech giants, you know, control everything. Push back a little bit. Stick to your values a bit more instead of just paying lip service and then going for what's convenient or expected of you.